everybody, welcome back. Woo! It's been a little break. We had to do Halloween here. I'm sure you did too. Just loving to see you again. I can't even talk. I haven't talked in a while. I just sit at home and stare at the screen and talk in my mind. But I see everybody's here, and we've got a big night because the mysterious Kevin Wright is with us. Yes, after his departure, everyone said, "Where's Kevin? Where's Kevin?" And he is alive and well, and we're going to hear all about it. I'm going to say hi to some people here. I got to get my mouth working again. Whew. What's up, Kathy? Nice to see you back. Sherry's back. Carla, of course, is back. She's so happy I do these at 9:30 Eastern. Brenda Lee, got your questions. Thank you. Hi, Kaz. Hi, Joe. Amanda. Philippe. Everybody's here. Hi, Marianne. I will just give everybody a chance to get on here. Once again, if you haven't done it, please like and subscribe. You know the deal. It helps us. If you rewatch the show, feel free to watch it on YouTube. Everything is archived in case you didn't know. But YouTube, that helps our view count. And then, I have some news for everybody. Minor news. All these albums are on Spotify now. I know I dragged my feet with that. It's a lot of work. All the albums you see here, this is actually the Spotify album list. The older ones, which feature Mr. Kevin Wright, appropriately enough, were not on Spotify and some of the other services. They were only on Apple, which is fine, but now they're on Spotify. Live in concert, live in Japan are not there yet, but we'll see what happens. But there you go. Don't forget, we've got the Human Music t-shirts with the superhero logo. Those are still up. People have been buying those. Hello. And then the 35th anniversary logo t-shirt, still there. Thank you all. And if you haven't gotten one yet, Christmas is coming. I've been debating whether to get a Christmas tree at this point because I've had it. I've got a spot picked out. All right, without further ado, he's in the green room. Let's do this.
You ain't making music when you know one note is next. Have some faith. Should I take you for a ride on a slow boat to China? Tell me where in the world. In my California satellite girl, I need to know, always still in your mind. All the love and the lights, laughter fills the air.
There he is. He's alive. What's up, Curly?
What's up?
I'm enjoying.
That was a cool intro.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it's like riding a bike with the material you gave me. But I see you've got an a cappella poster. Is that something I know back there?
Yeah,
awesome.
that was what we did. That was one of those ones. I think it was from Germany. One of
sweet.
Those, yeah.
One of those ones I thought, I should save this, and then when I put it in my bag, it got destroyed, and you successfully kept it. That's pretty awesome.
Yes, exactly. Folded them up.
I had a German fan the other day say, Kevin, we miss him over here.
Oh, I miss them.
We haven't been there since 2012 or 11, something like that. That ship has sailed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
We've got a lot of people here. Let's see. Bryce, the man himself, Kevin Wright. We've been following you for years. Sorry, this is so small here. We've been following you for years. Missed Kevin's last concert by one night due to snow cancellation or something.
Oh, no.
Stephanie Loomis, great to see everybody. Debbie says, live feed is lagging. I did up the resolution of the feed, everyone, just so you know. It was at 720 HD. Now it's at 1080. So if you go back to YouTube, you'll see it in higher resolution, just letting you know. So there might be a little lag. All right, well, we got lots of great questions. I'm going to go to the two-shot here. We've got lots of great questions, but first let's look at, let's do the questions first. I think that's the right order to do it. So superfan Stacy. Yes, Stacy Pilson, who always gives me 5 or 6 questions. God bless her. She's a superfan, you might remember.
I love you, Stacy. I miss you.
Yeah, there you go. Considering your theater film background, had you ever thought you would be in a band?
I didn't. I really didn't.
That's a good way to start this
You know,
conversation.
yeah, I had been doing theater for so long, and I moved to New York City for theater. So um, I was out on the road with a show called Music of the Night with Betty Buckley, and I was like one of the featured singers, kind of with her. And I had just gotten married, and I was just burnt out. You know, I had been doing shows. I was staying in the same hotels. I had been doing shows just nonstop, and I just
Mm.
was like, man, I got to do something else. So Scott lived right across the street from me in New York, and I would see him every now and then. So I was like, hey, man, you know, if you ever have anyone that is, you know, going to leave or whatever, let me know, because I'm ready for a change. And I got a call. It was so weird because I had told Amy, I'm like, I'm ready for a change. And Scott called, and I was like, and he's like, hey, I can't guarantee anything, but we're gonna have auditions, and if you're interested. And I was like, yeah, let me come on in. And it was a great time.
That's awesome. Well, I just
Yeah.
something just popped up we should all look at. Elliot Kerman's on the line. How did your singing?
Oh,
How did your singing influence your fishing career? Excellent point.
oh, oh
Kevin,
man.
yeah, in case people don't know, Kevin is down in Florida, and there's a lot of lakes, and I see you fishing and pictures and stuff. You do get on the water
Oh, I
still,
am
I
like,
assume.
yes, I am so hooked, as they say. But I'm fishing tournaments, and you know, it's just something that I love to do, and I've loved to do it.
Tournaments.
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, you know, I wanted to fish. I used to watch Bill Dance on TV. I was just drawn to fishing. I don't know why, but
Wow.
and I never had the money to buy a boat or anything. So when I had enough money to buy a boat, I bought a boat, and now I have a boat. Now I can go and fish all these great lakes around here.
It's good to be the king. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Adulthood. Yeah.
Yes.
Next one up, Joey says, good to see you again. Can you talk about your audition process to get into Rockapella? It's a blur to me. I remember a little bit. I remember a rehearsal studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was on, let me see if I remember correctly here. I think it was on 72nd Street, possibly.
I think so. Yeah.
A little hole in the wall kind of place. And just had a couple of songs. I can't even remember what the songs were. That I think one was Love Potion #9, and
Mm.
I Am Your Man, possibly something like that. But just kind of came in and sang with the guys, and just kind of see how it gelled, and personality wise, everything, and it just gelled. So you know,
do remember, it's coming back to me as I'm thinking about it. We had a lot of tenors. Woo, we had a lot of tenors, and pressure was on because of Sean departing, and obviously you fill those shoes just fine. There's a question about that coming up. Amanda and other people have asked, how did it feel to sing the Carmen Sandiego song for the first time after taking Sean Altman's place? What went through your mind on that topic, if anything?
oh,
It's just a
well,
job,
I
I
just felt
assume.
like this. I felt like a huge, you know, when you come into something rather than creating something new, um, it, it's just weird, because you want to come in, and you want to make it viable, keep it viable, and like and be able to you know, kind of step into those shoes and fill them. And I knew that, you know, Sean was a great guy. He was loved. And so I just had to come in and just kind of do what I did. And so I kind of changed it up a little bit. You know, I did some different things that he didn't do, and just kind of had fun with it. And, you know, that's kind of, you know, I think my theater career kind of helped out a lot, just because
Hmm.
I was used to either coming into some shows that were already running for years, or that had been on Broadway, that were going out on national tour. So, um, you know, it's just kind of stepping in and kind of adding your little nuggets to it, and
That's
making it
interesting.
good.
I was going to ask you what shows were already going with an established actor that you stepped in and replaced, much like you did with Rockapella. Can you think of
Well, Les Mis,
Les
obviously,
Mis?
Les Mis
Sure.
had been
Yeah.
running, yeah, And when I went in and did that, that was the show that I moved to New York to do. I kind of, and it took a while. I auditioned, I can't remember how many times for that show. And they kept telling me, well, they don't, I had blonde hair at the time. And then they were like, well, you know, so anyway, the last time I auditioned, I had kind of already had it. I kind of was like, well, I've already auditioned for this show. They know me. They know what I can do. Well, obviously they didn't, because when I finished my audition that day, Richard J. Alexander, who was the casting director, or not the casting director, but he was like one of the people that kind of cast everybody in that show. He said, "Why haven't we seen you before?"
Oh, gosh.
You know, so it was like, I mean, I had been,
Thank you very much.
The open call. Yeah. I had been to, you know, Los Angeles and auditioned.
All these actors are the same.
Yeah. So,
wow.
But it just, that day, it just gelled. I got to audition on the actual stage, and it was incredible. And then
how long were you there?
I learned very fast. I did it for 6 months. And then I left. I kind of was like, you know what, I'm going to throw I started to get a little, I don't know, just 6 months doing the same show. And it was such a strenuous show. It's like, you know, the show is very long, and it's taxing. So I was like, you know what, I want to go to audition. I told my manager at the time, I'm like, I want to go back to auditions. And she's like, well, there's a national tour of the 20th anniversary of Jesus Christ Superstar. And I'm like, let me go in. And so I went in, and there were like other guys from Les Mis that were going in for that same thing and auditioning for Peter. And anyway, I ended up getting that and left Les Mis to go on the road with that tour.
And the guy who hired you was like, Kevin, what's his name, is leaving.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Mila, who's 9 years old and a fan, says, what was your favorite song to sing with Rockapella, if any?
My favorite song? Oh, man.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I loved singing Have a Little Faith. It was just so up, and so it just had a great vibe, and I loved it. I loved that one. I loved singing some of the oldies, you know.
Ooh, yeah.
Love Potion Number 9. I loved singing, and I loved singing 60 Minute Man. I loved the backgrounds on that. That was a really cool one. And I Am Your Man, you know, the jazz influence on that song. I mean, it's just there were just so many great songs. It was it's hard to narrow it down to one.
Actually, the next question relates. Keegan, my buddy Keegan, our buddy, says, what was your favorite Rockapella song to sing backup parts on, not the lead? And, you know, I'm sure there were a lot of really complex things to do. But
oh, yeah. I mean, gosh, so many great ones. I Am Your Man is such a great song. And it was the backgrounds were so just great, buttery, and like, I loved that one. So I'd have to say I Am Your Man.
I remember us going to that Capitol Records building in LA and doing that early promo video, and that was the song, at least the earliest version of it. I've got a couple photos of that to show later.
Oh man, that was so cool! Like being in
crazy.
that same room with like Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis and all those guys. Yeah, that was cool.
Superfan Carla out in LA. What song do you wish would have been recorded that you loved singing with John Brown? There are no albums of the two of you together. Do you have something you sang?
You know, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to say California Sad-Eyed Girl.
With John. Oh, that's right. You're on the backups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're singing the lead.
California. Yeah. Yeah. And he said he was there at that time. So that would be the one that I wish we would have recorded. But
oh yeah,
you ended up doing it later.
That's right. We did.
Yeah.
For a moment, I couldn't even remember Welcome to Adulthood. Kathy says, how did you score the leather outfit in the PBS in-concert show? And I have it there.
Yes.
Tell the story of the leather outfit of the in-concert show.
I wanted, you know, we got to wear what we wanted to wear. It wasn't like we had somebody that was like, you know, picking costumes for us. So
pressure was on too.
Nobody had worn leather. I was like, this is like it's supposed to be like, it's called Rockapella. It's a rock band, and no one's
sweaty
wearing
as
leather.
Heck.
Yeah, but you know, that's the price you pay.
Yeah.
You know, Bon Jovi probably felt the same way, you know, but
Fair enough.
I just wanted to wear, I wanted to wear leather. I wanted to wear some leather, and I thought that it would be good. And I thought that, you know, and I sweat my fanny off in the leather, but I did enjoy it for a while.
Yeah, I don't have a picture of the pants handy, but the pants were leather too, lest we forget. That was,
Yes.
yeah, good luck to you all, leather people. Um, Joseph says, which song did you like singing more? Where Would We Be or A Change in My Life? Another tough question. I don't know if you can pick.
I loved singing A Change in My Life. I just, it was spiritual, and it was, you know, it was just a great, such a well-written song. And it was so, it had that, just had a great feel to it. And I just loved singing that song. So I never got tired of singing it. You know, it was there's a lot of songs that you can get tired of singing. And I never got tired of singing that song. And I always I just loved singing it. So
That's
that
one
would
of
be,
our,
that would be the answer.
the big three of Zombie, Change in My Life, and Carmen Sandiego, like the eternal
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Kathy, I just noticed, says, we love the leather too.
Ah. See,
yeah.
Jeff?
No comment.
Pay the price.
Kathy, oh, here's another Kathy. I think that's the same Kathy. How did you cope with being away from family when on the road? I remember I heard you make some calls. I'll put it that way.
Oh yeah.
But on
That was
in Broadway
really,
too.
really tough. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I didn't have, you know, Amy and I had just gotten married when I joined Rockapella. So we were just starting a family. So, it was very tough. And we actually, we just were going through a bunch of boxes and came up with these old little high 8 and little DVDs of the cameras that we had back in the day, and just hours and hours of the girls when they were being born, and when they were, you know, just incredible stuff. And a lot of those tapes are Amy just talking on the tape to the girls, you know, and it's like, you know,
Treasure.
there's
yeah.
a lot of me in there, but you know, I did miss a lot too, which is why
Man.
once we found out we were having Reese, then it was just kind of, I was like, man, I've got to be around. And the dance school had gotten to such a point. It had grown to such a point that I needed to be, Amy couldn't do it alone anymore. So,
Well, I hope you don't beat yourself up too much. I mean, those girls are amazing, and I always thought you were a fantastic dad. Like,
oh, thank you.
you did whatever you could. Let's put it that way. And I noticed I had great parents, so I had that to compare to. I thought you were a fantastic dad.
Yes, you did. You had great parents.
I'm sure
I
your
loved your
girls would
parents.
agree.
Yeah.
Suma, did your Broadway experience inspire any Rockapella choreography or maybe influence? Interesting. Probably helped you be ready for it.
Yeah, I don't really remember. I don't really remember, like, as we were kind of putting stuff together, like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I know
really
you
don't.
were.
I don't remember.
You were. I know you're fearless when it comes to dance. I mean, that's kind of what theater does to you, right? You're like, oh, here we go. This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah,
that a
yeah. There
fair
wasn't
statement?
any,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, I was, and I wasn't ever really a dancer, but I was like I felt comfortable on stage moving around because I had to do it. You know, I
would
wasn't
say
like
so.
a dancer, but you know, like Amy is a dancer, but I could move on stage.
I remember when George Baldy brought in the ham boning. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, you did that with John and with George, and there was no hesitation. So I think that's a perfect example of that, where it's like, well, this is what we're going to do. Here we go.
There we go. Let's do
Kevin
it.
Wright can do it. Lacey says, what are some of your favorite moments from touring with Rockapella? Her favorite moment is when you pawned a hoodie off someone in Orem, Utah, because it was so cold and you were from Florida.
Ah,
Favorite
I
moments
remember that.
touring? Yeah.
there
Probably
were some
a
really
lot
good
of
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had some great time. Remember when we used to as were driving, because we drive for hours and hours and hours. And I got this little, like, one day I started doing little sign, like I would make little signs on paper, and I would hold them up in the window to people as we were passing, like we saw you pick your nose, or like whatever. They weren't picking their nose, but we would write that on the thing, and they'd be like, they'd look over and they'd read it, and they'd be like, no, 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 I wasn't picking my nose. Like they would really like freak out about it. So I would say not one special memory, but like
Yeah.
all of our travel days. Yeah. Just
Yeah, because
we
it's
kind
like
of,
those quiet times where you have to fill them with something. I remember one of my earliest memories of you is where I fell asleep in the van and you took a cap full of water and poured it on my pants to make it look like I peed in my pants. I'm like, oh, this is who I'm dealing with here.
yeah. You were so out, and I just had to
Yeah.
do it. I was being the brother at that moment.
Of course. And I think, obviously I was more uptight back then. So I was like outraged.
Yeah. You were like, stop it. What are you doing?
Plus you wake up somebody, you never know what emotion you're going to get, but I apologize.
Yeah. Oh no, man. We had a good time.
We did have a good time, especially those early tours and the corporate events and stuff like that. Oh my gosh.
Oh, the corporate events. Yes.
You were the beneficiary of sort of the second half of Rockapella's corporate event life. You got to go to Hawaii with us, and you got to go to all those different ones, and that industry shifted later, but we were the kings of corporate, and thank you for part of that.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Gosh. I came in and I'm like, they're like, yeah, we're gonna audition for this IBM gig that where we're in Hawaii for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So we walked in, we go in and then we get it, and we're like, going to Hawaii with our
It didn't
families,
click
flying
until
first
later.
class. Yeah. I'm like, wow, this is really nice.
It's amazing how much money was spent. I remember, were you with us for the ProScar, where it's about peeing at night, your prostate shrinking?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like a Broadway level set in Orlando, I remember. And
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I was there with that one.
it was like a little town set with a lamp post, and we came out in our robes, and we sang "Lion Sleeps Tonight." I need my sleep tonight. And it was, anyway, one of many.
Yeah, I think I was there. I can't remember if I was there for that one. I definitely remember the one with what was it? The Olestra? Was it Olestra?
Oh yes, the orange presentation. Yes.
Yeah, yes, the orange presentation.
I think that
was
ingredient
great.
is in a lot of products right now, and you just don't hear people talking
Really?
about that.
Oh,
It's
wow,
some form of it. But there was a product called Alestra, everyone who's listening, where it caused, shall we say, things to come out because it was not digested. Therefore, you could have low fat. Anyway, we won't get into that.
Yeah.
But they came up with a term for it. And Rockapella sang some music.
Yes. Here come the doctors.
Oh, I skipped Carla here. Carla's back. Christmas song I miss the most is Love in the Lights. What inspired you to write it? And do you ever still sing it on the fishing boat? Maybe.
No, I haven't. I haven't sung that song, but I do remember just the thought of being from Florida and driving home, like from when I was living in New York City, driving home and watching the complete change in scenery, so it's like I would leave and it would be 10 inches of snow on the ground, and as I got in the car and I would start driving, it would be a 24-hour period, and it would just go from that white to green, and it was just very memorable. And I just remember starting to write that song a long time ago, and that was the main thing with that song.
Yeah,
I do miss that song.
Those images like write themselves. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Carla.
This guy says, just tuned in. Zach, sorry. I won't read that one. Let's see here. Kathy's back with, are you planning to do any solo music? There's a good question.
I've written and I've worked with some, I'm working with singers. I'm working with a lot of very young, talented people right now, but I've really wanted to. It's just
Yeah.
time wise. It's never like with Reese, and with the dance school and with, just everything that just life in general is like, it just takes a back seat. So I've always wanted to, and I've jotted down lyrics, and I've got melodies, so eventually I would love to, and hopefully it'll be, sooner than later. But yeah.
I get the feeling that our fan base would welcome it. Many people would welcome it.
Good. I would.
Let me know if you need any help.
Okay.
Brenda Lee, I was at your last show. Can you take us back to that night? How were you feeling? What were your thoughts?
Oh wow.
I know.
It was very. I mean, it was such a weird time because Scott had his accident,
Yeah.
and
For those
so
people
we
who
were
don't
all,
know, Scott Leonard fell off his roof putting up Christmas lights the day of or the night before Kevin's last show in Florida.
I think it was like the night before or something. Yeah. So
And
it was like,
it was bad. Yeah.
yeah, bad. And so, obviously we were worried about him, and like, hoping that everything was okay. Um, and then and having to go in early, remember having to go in early and try and like work out parts so that we could like try and make things sound okay. And like, so there was that huge weight on top of being my last show. It was like, well, let's try and make these songs. What songs can we even do?
Right.
It cut our show in half. So it was like, so it was a lot of pressure, but it was an amazing night. Just being able to see everybody, knowing that the girls were there, and the little poster that they made, and Amy, and like, it was very special, and it was touching, to have my family there, and to have a lot of really good friends that had come over to see me, and just reflecting on the last 13 years,
Yeah.
it was a cool night.
How old is your son Reese now?
He is 11,
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah.
Getting tall.
So yes, he's getting tall. He's super smart, and he's like, he's just a great kid. He's super funny. He's like really dry humor.
Oh, fantastic.
I've started taking these. I've started taking these little quotes that he says, and I'll put them in my phone, and I'm like, I'm gonna put that in my phone, So now he's come to the point where he'll say, like, he'll think of what he wants to say,
He'll
and
get
then
it
he'll
ready.
say it, and then he's like, "Is that going in your phone?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's going in the file. That's gonna go in the file."
I got to meet this kid.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
fantastic.
there was one that was awesome. He
Yeah, tell
said,
us whatever you can
yeah.
share.
So one of the ones, he's like, he got up one morning and he's like, "Yeah, I just wake up and I just spit facts." So
Heck?
yeah, he's like, I just wake up and I just start spitting facts. I'm just like, what? Where did you think of that? He's like, yeah, it's just stuff like that, which that's super funny, and he does it with like a really straight face, and he's just a great kid.
That's what you get when two performers have a child, let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
But what's
Stacey-
funny
oh,
is he's not, he did not want to dance, so we weren't forcing him to dance.
Oh, right.
And he's super shy to sing, so he doesn't sing. But he is playing piano, and he has like kind of been hanging with pianos, and he's doing a really good job. He's got a great piano teacher, and he's, I think that's going to be his thing. So I'm excited
That's a
about that.
foundation, isn't it? I mean, it was
Oh,
for
yeah.
me. And yeah. You still own and run the dance school, The Right Step, with your wife. Is that correct? For
Yes,
people who don't
20
know.
years.
Yeah, an institution.
Yes, yes.
A brass plaque era. Like the
Man,
town is like
I'll tell
the
you what.
Right Step. Well, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the reputation now in Central Florida? I assume it's been around long enough that people are like, oh, The Right Step.
Yeah, I mean, we've over the years, like when we started out, we had we didn't know what to expect the first year we opened. We were thinking maybe we'd have, hoping for like 40 or 50 kids, and we had
Right.
100 and something. We had like over 100 kids.
Wow.
That was the first year. So then we were just kind of like, what are we going to do? I mean, because the place that we kind of moved into like this little strip mall, and it just wasn't very big. And so we were there for, I want to say like 2 or 3 years. And we found a building and actually kind of tore most of it down and made a facility for dance. We like put sprung floors, so all the kids' joints and stuff are never taken a hit, and we just built it for dance. And
Did you have voice lessons on the side from the beginning? Do you do that now? What's going on?
no, I didn't, because I was still, out on the road a lot. Because when we
Right.
first opened, we were still really pretty busy. We were doing like close to 100 shows a year. They're 80 to 100 when we first opened. So, but as it, we kind of started, time kept rolling, and then we had actual space for me to kind of go in and kind of start that. And people started asking, and that's kind of where I started kind of picking that up, and would take on, I wouldn't take a lot of kids just because I didn't have a lot of time, and I was already on the road with, but once I left Rockapella and I was home a lot, I kind of started taking on more and more, and kind of working with a lot of people.
Why do you think the
So
first year was so successful? Is that because you're located kind of between two big cities and they didn't really know where to go and it was a niche thing?
yeah, I think first off, just it was in my hometown. I was, born and raised here, so a lot of the people that I grew up with and I was friends with from the community theater days here, and from they all had kids that was in that age group, and a lot of them had girls. So I think that helped immensely. I think also just Amy, just having Amy's amazing. She's an amazing teacher, amazing person, and people just fall in love with her, when they come in. So it's like, if they take one class, then they want to
Right.
take, 2 or 3 or 4 the next year. So it's
I can see that. Yeah.
so it just kind of I think both of those things just kind of really helped.
Take me back to, I talked a little bit about this with Barry a couple weeks ago, where you have this very successful career when you're young. You get a lot of great opportunities. So how did that start for you? You really just fell into performing immediately? Like, what was the high school situation, for instance?
No, I was actually into sport. I loved sports. I wanted to play football, and I started playing football at a really early age, and actually broke my back, and I had to have my spine fused. So at that time, it kind of put an end to any kind of football. I mean, I tried football again in high school, and it just was my back was too. It just wasn't. I never felt comfortable, So, but when I was 11, it happened when I was 11 years old. So when I was kind of in that age group. My brother was actually a performer, so
I
I would
forgot
hear
about
him
that.
sing. I would hear him singing, and I would hear him like, kind of auditioning for these shows that were in town. I'm like, I can do that. I can, I can go, and I can, I would love to do that. So I went and auditioned for a show, and we had this amazing uh, community theater that was here in town that um, just had great. It had the guy that ran it was
On the ball.
yeah, just really
Yeah.
great, and um, opened the door for a lot of people. A lot of really big people have come from this area. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of talented people from this area.
What was your
And
first name role in a stage production?
uh, like as a kid,
Yeah.
I went to the community theater and auditioned for The King and I. They were having this open call for The King and I got Lewis in The King and I. So
Cool.
that, if you don't know that show, I started out doing a lot of very, you know, classical musicals like King and I and Sound of Music and Oklahoma and Carousel and just like a lot of the big, standard musicals. So I think that really helped um, as a musician also and as a singer.
Wow.
Just kind of singing those tunes and being around that type of music really helped me a lot, I think. And then there actually was I got very lucky because Florida was known for dinner theaters. There's not dinner theaters all over the country, but there's these dinner theaters that are professional. They were hiring equity actors, and these people would come in and they would have a meal, and then they would get to see a show. So um, this dinner theater that was in town was an Actors Equity dinner theater, and I went and auditioned for a show there. I was 15, and did and got cast in The Sound of Music and played Rolf in The Sound of Music there, and I was
Perfect.
making like $80, but I was making like equity points. Back in the day, you had to make a certain amount of points to become equity. So they made you kind of go through a lot of shows before you were able to get your equity card. So
What an incredible training, really. Like on the
yeah,
job training. Like
oh my gosh, it was incredible. I mean, I
amazing.
look back and you learn so many different things. It's like you're learning to do 8 shows a week. You're doing a ton of shows. You're learning professionalism. You're learning, um, you know, auditioning for shows while you're doing another show at night. You're auditioning for another show and rehearsing that show during the day. So it's just
Wow.
it was a great learning experience and stomping ground, and ended up working over in Tampa, St. Pete, um, Clearwater.
Through high
Um,
school and beyond, or did you leave town
yeah,
after
through
high school?
through high school, my senior year actually. Well, the place that was right here in town, I could go and do shows at night while I was in high school. And at first my mom was having to take me over because I couldn't even drive when I was doing The Sound of Music. And then once I started driving, then I was able to go. And then my senior year, or no, my junior year, I went into the work program and I started singing in the bar. It was like a show bar. Like people would come in and you would sing show tunes and they would have drinks, and it was like this great atmosphere. And here I am, like 16, 17 years
Cocky
old.
teenager.
I couldn't even be in the bar. I shouldn't have even been able to be in the bar.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And
So, what was the signal to go to New York? The famous "go to New York" moment.
I was doing a show at a dinner theater. And the cool thing about the dinner theaters here was you had stars from like soap opera stars, or like Peter Palmer, who did the original Little Abner. People that had kind of done Cesar Romero, like people that had done TV and film that were kind of past that and kind of still wanting to work. So they would come down here. Dawn Wells from Marianne from Gilligan's Island, she did a lot of stuff down here. But you would get to work with these people. Well, I was doing a show. I was doing The Rainmaker with Bill Hayes, who was a famous soap opera actor. And he's like, yeah, I just went to New York and I saw this show called Les Miserables. And there's this part that you would be great for. You got to go audition. So sure enough, I took that and I got a backstage, and I looked in the backstage and I'm like, there's an open call. So I flew up to New York and I made it down to like I was in with the last 3 guys for this national tour, the first national tour. And I'm like, man, if I didn't have an agent, I don't have anything. Here I am getting so close to getting this gig. I need to be up here. So I ended up leaving and moving up there. And the first week I was there, I got a show at Manhattan Repertory, a show called Baby, that I had done at a dinner theater production here in Florida. So I had already done the show, went to the audition, got that. I was taking some acting classes during the day, musical theater classes, and just
Wow.
still trying to hone my craft while I was working
Sure.
at night. And
This was what year, roughly year
this
range?
was like 80, I want to say 87, the end of 87.
I remember it well.
Yes, 87, 88. Because then I got the first big thing I got was the first national tour of Into the Woods, and playing Jack in that, and it was like that was kind of like everybody wanted to do that role. You know, it's like it was a Sondheim show, and it was,
And you got the
um,
lead. Yeah,
and I got one of the leads.
sure.
So to be on the road at my age and like traveling and playing this amazing role in this show that was still on Broadway, and it was the first national, and Cleo Lane was the witch, and like all these people. I had seen Chuck Wagner, who I'd seen him do it on Broadway, and he was the one of the princes in our show, and
Wow.
just amazing people, and it just like traveling to these places, like these amazing theater, the Kennedy Center, and we were sitting down at places for like a month or
Oh,
6 weeks. So we were at the Kennedy Center for like, I want to say like 5 or 6 weeks.
long enough to get to know the town, really.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
it was an amazing experience. So
Wow.
then you come back to the city. When you're done with that, I found out that was closing, and my manager was sending me in while we'd be close, like we would be playing Hartford, Connecticut or somewhere, and I would come in and audition for shows. So while I was doing that, I knew that the show was ending, and then I got this show at Williamstown Theater Festival, which was like they called it summer camp for the stars, because like all these stars used to do summer shows at this place. Chris Reeve was like a big person that lived actually
Superman.
in the
Wow.
yeah, and so I ended up getting a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum there, and then from there, just kind of, I came back into the city. I got the first show that I ever saw in New York was The Fantastics at the Sullivan Street Theater.
You
And it
did
was
that show? Oh my gosh.
I did that show at the Sullivan Street, which was amazing for me because I had seen the show and I'd fallen in love with that show.
Yeah.
And to actually be doing it at that theater it was unreal. It was
I've
just
seen it there.
amazing.
That's kind of a rite of passage for many actors, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
whether it's
was
New York or
incredible.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I did that in high
Yeah.
school and no further.
Oh man, such
Yeah.
great music.
Yeah, it's really good. It's
Such
really
great
good.
music.
Well,
Yeah.
this is a good time to show some pictures, I think. We're gonna do the magic bubble here. Let's
Okay.
start with this beautiful shot. So when is this? What we're looking at is the late '80s, early '80s, mid '80s. What are we looking at?
This
Just
is at
got
the
to New
late. This
York?
is the late '80s.
Okay,
and,
a little success. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of success and like a little bit of, it's like my manager was like, look, you gotta like, I want some like, some brooding, because I was so smiley and like so like, always wanting to have a good time. So she's like, I want some brooding looks. I was going out for a lot of soap opera stuff at that time, like, so they just kind of wanted that kind of look. So I can laugh at this now.
Did it work?
Oh yeah, it definitely worked. I had a lot of people really like the shots, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at it, it's hysterical. I mean, it's like I'm wearing this flag jean vest with like an earring with a peace sign hanging out of my ear, and like
And no other
it's just
shirts.
hysterical. Yeah, it's just hysterical. Oh
Well, here's Jack and the Beanstalk. Or no, sorry,
Yeah.
that's Into the Woods. What is that?
yeah, that's Jack and the Beanstalk.
Jack and the
That's
Beanstalk, yeah.
that's Cleo Lane. That's just a shot
There
that was
she
taken
is.
backstage. Yep.
Is that a wig or your real hair?
Oh, that's a wig, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Isn't
She
that
was an
funny?
amazing person. That was my mom, Nora Mae Ling. She was such a great, I don't know if you remember Forbidden Broadway, the show Forbidden Broadway.
I do.
She originated that show. She was amazing. She was so hysterical, funny woman, and she's no longer with us. It was such a sad thing. I found out that she passed away a few years ago, but such a beautiful lady and just inside and out.
Oh, that's awesome. And then is this Jesus Christ Superstar?
This is Jesus Christ Superstar.
Looks like
and
Jesus in
this,
there, or somebody.
That's Ted Neely. That's Ted Neely. If you've seen the movie Jesus Christ Superstar, that's the Jesus from the movie. That's Ted Neely. And this is right here in front is Irene Cara.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's Irene Cara right there. And do you know who she's looking at and shaking hands with? This is at the Kennedy Center. I was telling you about being at the Kennedy Center. This is at the Kennedy Center when we went there and sat for a little while with Superstar. But that is Chelsea Clinton that she's shaking her hands with. And right behind her is her mom and dad. So we were in a meeting line with the president when they came through.
Amazing.
At the Kennedy Center, yeah.
I think our distinguished sound engineer Fred did sound for Irene Cara at some point. I recall a story. Yeah, I got to get on him on this show.
Yeah.
And is this?
That's Big River.
It's Big River.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a production of Big River that I did. That is such a great show. I don't know if anybody's seen that show, but that's such a wonderful show. They redid it on Broadway and they did it in sign language, and it was incredible.
Whoa.
It was very cool.
And this looks like the same hair as the press photo, so that's like late '80s.
Yes. Yep. This was right after I got back from Into the Woods. It was like around that time.
And then Oklahoma.
That's Oklahoma. Yep.
Perfect casting.
That was early. That was early days. I think that might have been like, I was probably like 17 or 18 there.
Oh, this is going back. Oh, okay.
Yes. That one is like a long time ago.
Huh. And then here's Forum.
That's Forum, and that's that actor is Lee Wilkoff, and he originated the role of Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh my gosh! Now
Yeah,
that you say that, I recognize him. Yeah.
Yeah, and he ended up doing a ton of Broadway stuff. We ended up becoming really good friends, and that's who that is, Norm from
Cheers. Yeah.
Yeah.
George.
Yeah, he played Pseudolus in that production.
That's great casting as well. You guys are so well cast together. It's really fantastic.
We shared a dressing room together at that place in Williamstown, and just a great guy. Like, he would take me out and buy me dinner, and I would try and pay, and he'd be like, "Kevin," he's like, "I'm rich. Let me buy you dinner."
Cheers money, Kevin. Cheers.
Yeah. And he was sponsored at the time. He was sponsored, a lot of times, like stars, he was still very big at the time. Like, sponsors will come by, and he was sponsored by Nike. So he would get to go to the Nike, anywhere Nike, and he had this card, and he would get to pick anything and everything he wanted. Like, so he could go in and he could get 50 boxes of Nike shoes if he wanted to. Well, we went to this place. It was in Massachusetts, and we went to this place one day, and he bought me like four or five pairs of Nike sneakers.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll never forget just the generosity. It was like incredible.
Wow. And who is this guy?
That's Bill Hayes. He was famous. That's the Rainmaker right there. He was a famous guy from the soap operas.
He looks like a soap opera guy.
Yeah. He was still doing it. He was still doing it. I think he's like holds the, like, him and Susan Lucci, I think, are like the longest running actors in the soaps.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then who are we looking at here?
So this is Into the Woods, and if you the man on the right there, on our right, is Stephen Sondheim.
Oh, of course. I met him. It was one of the the open mic night that happens at Birdland. Have you ever heard of that? It's been around for a long time. And an Rockapella friend dragged me there, and it was a great time, and I met Stephen Sondheim.
Oh man,
but not like you did.
I mean, he's such an amazing guy. Just when you're like, I mean, I can't even remember how old I was there, but I was probably, if I really think about it, I was probably like pretty 19 young. Or 20. Yeah. And just to be like standing next to him, and when he would talk to us and he'd give us notes after the show, and like, it just like at the time, I I thought that it was like super cool, but I didn't really realize how special it was, you know. And as I look at these pictures now, I'm
Yeah.
just kind of like, that's Steven Sondheim, Steven
The
frickin' Sondheim.
It's like Spielberg and Sondheim, the two Stevens you know. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's Joseph, is that right?
No, this
Wait.
is the national tour of Superstar again. That's Carl Anderson, who.
Oh, I thought it was the guy, what's his name from Styx?
Yeah, that is Dennis DeYoung. That's
Oh, it is
the
Dennis
white
DeYoung.
guy.
Okay.
That's yeah, and then the guy next to him is Carl Anderson, who
Okay.
has probably the best voice I've ever heard anybody ever sing. Is Carl Anderson.
I
If
think I
anybody
heard
hasn't,
about him. Yeah, there's like a podcast, maybe an Alec Baldwin podcast with him on it. Sorry, finish your thought.
no, that's fine. But you know, he ended up passing away back probably, I don't remember now. Like after we finished, it was a few years after we finished. But super super nice guy, and Dennis DeYoung, super nice guy. I mean, like I'm showing you my favorite pictures of the people that I've worked with because these are like truly genuine, like nice people. So that I feel like I had friendships with, and
Yeah.
yeah,
One thing Rockapella taught me, and I'm sure this stuff probably taught you, is that people who are famous are just people who got lucky. They're just people. Like we met a bunch of really big people in Rockapella,
yeah,
and I remember thinking, well, this is just a dude.
yeah.
And the only thing separating you is like their publicity schedule doesn't let them hang out very easily, but really they're just like you, except
Yeah.
with an opportunity and talent.
Yeah, but you do find, it's sad, but you do find people that have that, the
Yeah.
stardom,
Yeah.
and that act like it, that
Right.
aren't, there's not a warm feeling. They're a little bit,
They're playing a role in real
yeah,
life.
and it's just, yeah, and they're just not, they're not super nice people. It's like they're jaded, or they just don't have the same feeling that these people that I'm showing you have. These people were
Right.
just genuinely nice, really, really nice people.
Is this your wife? Yes, it
That
is.
is Amy.
Did you meet her in the cast of Joseph?
No, Superstar.
I mean, Superstar. I'm sorry. I see a
Yes.
dream code. I thought. Got
Yeah,
it.
this is a show that we did. We did this show to get this national tour together. This was the national tour of Joseph,
And that's how you met.
and no, we met in
I'm sorry.
Superstar.
Superstar. Got it.
Yeah, so we met in Superstar, and I went out actually on this tour before she was in it, and I kind of was ready to go. I was going to leave. She was doing a show. Well, she was doing Cats, and then she was doing
Awesome.
a show, Music of the Night, where she was on the road too, and we were just missing each other. We had been working so much, and we had just been married, and it was just kind of like, it's like,
Wow.
we just wanted to be together. So it was kind of like, hey, can you put my wife? One of the girls was leaving, and I'm like, can you put my wife in the show? If not, I'm gonna go ahead and take off. So
Nice.
she had worked with the choreographer in another show. So we kind of talked to him and he was like, I think we can make this work out. So they did, and we got to tour together again. So that was a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Very, very cool. And now we get to here's the aforementioned Capitol building in Los Angeles, the one that looks like a bunch of pie plates, if anyone's driven by it. And that is the recording studio on the right, I believe, where Frank Sinatra recorded. And
Yeah.
and early in your career with us, we dragged
Yep.
you into this promotional thing. This is an early version of I Am Your Man. And then, of course, on the roof, we did the promo video, Bed of Nails, and all the different things,
Yeah.
kind of to get the ball rolling, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you have any memories of that besides what I just spewed out?
I really remember. I remember the recording of "I Am Your Man," and I remember being on top of this. I don't remember because we weren't really looking at it from far away, but
Right.
it's a lot cooler now. As you look at it, it's like, wow, that's really cool.
There's the
Um,
roof.
as we were standing on the ledge, and it looked like we were about to fall off and like fall 50, stories up or
And
whatever. But
I remember Scott being very risky with the edge of the
yes,
building.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
no
man.
tether, and we're like
No
hanging.
tether whatsoever, yeah. And then here's you and me in our Hong Kong suits right after we got
Yes.
back. What are your memories of Hong Kong? What pops in your head?
Oh, those suits.
Yeah, the suits, exactly.
Yeah,
I remember
those
Chinese food
suits.
didn't taste like American Chinese food, big surprise. And
No.
the suits, yeah. And I
It was
was
very
thinner.
dirty. I remember it being very dirty. We'd been to Japan already,
Yeah,
and Japan is so clean and
yeah.
nice and beautiful. And I remember it being like really kind of just smelly, with like trash and like people spitting all over the place, and like just kind of. I just remember it being not as clean as Japan, but
Definitely
those
interesting.
suits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I loved being there, and I
Yeah.
still have some Hong Kong dollars. I should have bought another suit.
Yeah, I remember. What was it? A day? They were made in a day or 2 days, something like that.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
think
it's
it
a
was like
thing
a
there.
day. It was like
Yeah,
24 hours. Yeah.
yeah. They're having troubles now, but I hope they're okay. All the
Yeah.
folks over there. And here's in concert with the suit. There are the leather pants.
Yes.
I believe that's Carmen Sandiego. Da 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 da. I could be wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. What are your memories?
That was a cool time, man. Don't you remember that as being a cool time?
I do. I remember it was a one and done, do or die single night concert, which I have learned since then is not the way to do a live recording, but
Right.
it is what it is. And I remember
Yeah.
Andy Heermans, our esteemed engineer for many of our albums, was in a truck grabbing the tracks live and all those
Yeah.
interesting things. It was an interesting time. And then
It
we
was
all
like I remember us having like shows before, like we did a few shows right before that. So we were ending with this, and we sang our faces off. I mean, we sang so much. We did so many songs because we were trying to make sure. And remember, we had to do Pretty Woman again because the person that I originally chose had some sort of shirt on that
oh gosh.
copyright that they couldn't use it. So we had to go back and do Pretty Woman again.
Yeah.
And it just, it was
It
just
wasn't
kind
the
of like
same.
that. No, it was like that womp womp womp.
The magic of television. Oh man.
Yeah.
There's Rudolph,
Oh yeah.
and we still do it that way. Still do it that way.
You should. That's a cool like old timey thing. Love
What are
that.
your memories of L.A. Folgers?
Oh. Um
I remember
I
looking
just
around and like this is the New York set for literally everything.
yeah.
Yeah. You
I just
see it.
remember it being like, it was a lot of pressure. I just remember it being
Yeah.
very
It was the
just
real
feeling
deal.
like you wanted everything to come across as being great, and
And they
it
were
did.
all
I think those commercials ended up being some of their best. So much better than the ones they've got out now.
Take note, Folgers. And
Yeah,
then
come on.
here's your sweet, sweet daughter right on set of the Christmas Folgers ad. Many Rockapella children on that ad. I
Yeah.
love that hat.
That was a purchase from Japan. That was definitely the little outfit that I got. One of the outfits I got in Japan, and Gracie was just so super cute right there.
And wasn't your second daughter Hope in the oven at the moment?
Yes, we were, or no, that was this. It was the second one. It was the second commercial when we were driving in Whistler, right?
This is it right here. Yeah, Christmas was Whistler. Yeah,
Oh yeah. So this one, while we were driving up the mountain, we were driving up that area, and Amy was like, I really don't feel well. I
Oh
feel
my
like,
God.
I've got to, so we had to have the van pull over, and like, she had to get out, and like,
And it was
she
morning
did,
sickness.
she got sickness, and we got back. She's like, I really don't feel well. And I feel like we need to like, so we scoured the city that night after the first day of filming and found this little shop, and like got a pregnancy test, and it was positive, and we're like calling, at like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, we're calling the number on the back to find out how accurate we're like, Gracie's in the background screaming her head off. It's the people on the other end must have been like,
Parenthood.
yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
yes, that was a very memorable time.
And then, of course, here's this one, the first and only 4th of July with the Boston Pops. I
Woo.
remember the feeling of looking out in that crowd and singing with them. We had sung with them already, I believe, in Symphony
Yeah.
Hall. Yeah. But to be there, and it was a beautiful night. It was like breezy. What are your memories of that?
I remember I remember getting in the cars to go over there and having the escort with
Right.
the motorcycles, the motorcycle brigade, like out in front of us, like going through the city, like, that was so amazing. And then just that breeze that was blowing, and the some of the clips that they have where it shows the people on the like, there's like a sailor or some sort of military guy that, like, like throws his hat or does something that's like, as we're singing, it just was, thousands of people, like,
Thousands beyond what
yeah,
we could see. Yeah.
yeah,
Definitely not during COVID, that's for sure.
no, no,
Yeah. I was in the Boston area for July 4th and this past year, and it was not what it was. But maybe we'll get back to that. I remember Dr. Phil was there. We met Dr. Phil.
yes, Dr. Phil was there,
And
and
wasn't
and
Steven Tyler
Aerosmith.
there? Aerosmith
Yeah,
was there.
Aerosmith. Yeah, yeah. Aerosmith played. Well, it was him. I don't know if it was Aerosmith. It might have been just him and Joey or somebody, but
Right.
it was. Yeah, they were there.
Did they perform? I
Um,
forget.
I think they performed after us. Yeah,
After.
yeah,
Amazing. Surreal
yeah.
times.
Yes.
Well, that's the photos for tonight. Kevin, thank you so much for doing this. It means so much to me and to everyone here. They're just absolutely thrilled. And if you want to do a solo album, they're going to get it and listen to it. I can promise you.
Awesome.
Your star has not faded, even though you have a little quieter life now. Or
Yeah.
maybe you don't.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate the offer for me to come on. When you asked me, I was just like, that was really sweet for you to ask me to be on here. I've loved talking to you, and like knowing the people, like hearing the names from the past, and like
Sure. They haven't gone
putting the
anywhere.
putting the faces. And thank you guys for being on here tonight. I miss all of you. I wish I could have done Rockapella forever, but it lives on, and I miss all of you.
We're going to try and get you on with maybe in some combination later, like maybe early next year, later this year, maybe with John and, some combinations of guys. I think that would be a lot of
Cool.
fun. We'll see how
Yeah.
that unfolds. But for now, thank you so much, Kevin Wright. And I hope everyone here had a great time. Rob Rice says, where was my planetarium question? Oh, let me just throw that out there. Where in the universe is Carmen Sandiego, the video? I'll try and dig that up and post it.
Oh,
And
please do. I want to see it. I want to show my kids. My son loves all that, and he hasn't. I haven't been able to find it.
I
So
have
please.
I digitized the Laserdisc. I'll put it that way.
Oh, sweet.
Thanks, Kev. Everyone's very happy to see you. So have a great holiday, and everybody stay safe out there. And I have another special hangout in a couple weeks or so. I'll let you guys know. But for now, thanks a lot, and good night to Kevin Wright. See you guys
See you
later.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Kev.